What is going on, everybody? Tyson here with Garage Life. In today's video, we are going to show you how to retrofit EXB V2 wing mount onto the original Arrma Kraton or the Arrma Outcast. So when you order this wing mount kit from our website, you are going to get the two sides to the wing mount, you're going to get some fasteners, and you're going to get a couple of washers. When you replace this, you will not use all of the parts that come off, and you will use these parts that we give you. In order to do this, you are going to need a couple of tools, and those tools will be a 2.5 millimeter Allen, a 2 millimeter Allen, and your hands. You might need some other things along the way, but let's dig in and we'll see. So the first thing that you want to do when you are doing this, and this is going to be the same with the Kraton or the Outcast. I already have it done on my Kraton, so I'm going to show you on the Outcast. The first thing we need to do is remove this current wing mount. Now you can do it in any order that you would like to do it. There's not a particular order that this has to be done. You just need to get this wing mount out. So I started by removing the bolt that holds on the rear tower to chassis brace, which is the screw in the forward hole of the wing mount. Then I removed the shorter screw of the wing mount, which is the one closest to the shock tower. You also are going to have these red washers fall out. You will reuse the shorter of the red washers, so there's a short one and a long one. You are going to reuse one of them in the next couple of steps, so please don't remove them. The next thing you want to do, let me see if I can get the camera in here and get a good picture of this, is so we removed the front bolt here, we removed the rear bolt here. We need to remove the center to center brace, the tower to tower brace. We are going to take that out and we are going to utilize that for our wing mount. So remove that screw out of there. Now that we have our tower to tower brace loosened, our rear mount here is out, and the screw right here for the wing mount is out, we can turn this guy around, and right down in here you are going to have two screws that need to come out as well. So let's go ahead and get those taken out, and then our wing mount should pull right off. And you can kind of just wiggle the wing mount out like this, and you have successfully taken it off. These screws you want to retain because you will reuse them. You will also want to remove your wing. As you can see, my wing is extremely damaged, but that's all right. This is going to utilize a 2 millimeter Allen to remove the wing off of the top. You will also want to remove the wheelie bar because we will reuse that. It will come off with this whole tower. We will not reuse the tower, but set that aside for now. Again, not going to reuse this side either, but we will reuse part of it, so set that aside. Now, your wing mount will just pop right off of your wheelie bar, and you will have your wheelie bar ready to reinstall with the new Garage Life RC wing mount. So what you want to do here is you'll have a left and a right side. Obviously, it should be pretty self-explanatory. One side is left, one side is right. You're going to pop your wheelie bar in there, and you're going to have a sandwich that looks something like this. So earlier, we took these off and apart. You have two screws going into here with this little, I guess it's a dual washer is what I'm going to call it. It connects the two bolts together and prevents, acts as a washer. So we're going to take that just like this, and actually you could just grab this side here and just give these a little start into the rubber. Nothing super, don't want to go all the way through, you just want to give them a nice little start into the hole so they'll hold themselves. So as you can see here, they're just sitting in there, they're started, ready to go. So now let's take our wing mount, our wheelie bar, and we'll just push it into the little holes. There is a hex in here to where these hexes will go into, so it should fit decently nice in there, and you will go ahead and tighten up your screws. The thing to keep in mind with 3D printing is you don't want to over tighten because it is rubber, you can squish through it. I recommend always tightening by hand and not with a power tool. But so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to grab these two screws and washer off of this one. We're going to grab the right side of the wing mount, and we're just going to start these two screws into their respective holes. And we're going to grab the wing mount, the wheelie bar. We're going to put this on the correct side. And we're just going to start this right in where it goes. And then we will get the other side going. Again, you don't want to go too tight on this. So here you now have the wing mount and wheelie bar put together, ready to install in the truck or put the wing on. It's up to you, whatever way you want to go. I tend to put it on the truck this way, just so I don't have the big wing in the way or messing with me while I do this. So you're just going to slide this through the same way you took the other one off, and then it'll sit on there something like this. And what you will want to do is take the two screws that we originally pulled out, which yours will look different than this. These I've replaced before. And you will want to throw them into these innermost holes here. And again, you can start them. I wouldn't necessarily say tighten them yet. If you want to tighten them, you can. But again, remember, you're going through a 3D printed part, so I want to emphasize snug, don't crank them down. And again, you can kind of feel it, but if you do it by hand, it'll be a lot easier. Alright, so already, this is pretty snug on here, but we want to take these screws that came with it, the shorter of the screws, bolts that came with the wing mount, and you will go through the other holes, the outermost holes, and these are going to utilize a 3mm hex. Alright, now that we have those bolts all through, you should see something like this where you got a bolt protruding out through the shock tower right here. You have all this open stuff right here, and I will show you what we're going to do with that. Alright, so at this point you can take and you can put your nut on this bolt here, and you can tighten it up whatever works easiest for you. Grab a wrench, grab a socket, however you want. And again, this is a lock nut, so you don't need anything. You're not going to need Hulk strength for this, but you just snug it up, and again, it's going to automatically, once you get into that nylon on the nut, it's going to be pretty solid. But we're just going to make that snug against the tower. Repeat the same step for the other side. So now at this point, we got a really solid wing mount, but we still have all of this here to figure out. So we're going to put our tower to tower brace back in its little slot here. Now on your wing mount that you took off, you got these two nuts right here. We got to take those out because we're going to reuse those. There's one and two. Alright, so these two washers that we pulled out of the wing mount here, you want the shorter of the two, and then you want one of the long bolts that we sent out with the wing mount. So what you're going to do at this point is you're going to take this bolt through the front hole of the wing mount, and once it gets through the hole, you're going to put this spacer in there. So once you get the bolt through the right side of the wing mount, you get the metal spacer in there. You're going to go through the rear chassis brace here, and then you're going to utilize the bigger of the spacers that we send you with the kit. You're going to put it right between this side of the wing mount, the left side, and the chassis brace. Once you do that, you're going to go into the nut, and again, you can tighten this up, but snug is fine. You don't have to go He-Man strength with that. The last part of mounting it here is, instead of using the lower mount like the original did, we're going to use the center brace that goes tower to tower. We're going to use that hole, and again, you're just going to take your screw, your long screw that comes with the mount. You're going to go into the right side, no spacer, and then into the... Alright, so when that's all said and done, you should have something that looks like this. As you can see, you have our washers here. You have the one original there. And you have a really solid wing mount. So let's go ahead and let's focus on getting our wing put back on here. So we have our beat up Arrma wing, tiny little Outcast wing that we're going to throw on here. The holes will be really close to lining up. They might not be perfect if you have a beat up wing like me, but there we go, lined up there. Now you remember these two things that we took off of the old one. Inside here you have your nut for the wing, so you can just go ahead, and I tend to just take something like this, stick it in there, and kind of just work on prying that nut out. Alright, so now you're going to take your screws and wing washers. I only have one on mine. I lost the other one, haven't replaced it, but go down through the top of the wing, then you'll put the washer on the bottom. There you have it. So now you have the Garage Life RC 3D mounted wing mount that is got some flex, also integrates the wheelie bar, and gives you a little bit of color for your rig. This will again work with the Outcast 6S. I do have it on my Kraton 6S, my original Kraton 6S, and it also mainly is intended for the EXB V2, but I have been able to convert it to the Outcast as well as the original Kraton, as long as you use the stock body, the stock shock towers. It might not work with some aftermarket ones, but with the stock ones, it definitely works and holds up strong. So thanks for watching this how-to video. I hope it serves you guys well, and if you have any questions, please hit me up. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being the best part of Garage Life RC. We'll talk to you later.